Happy Self Love Sunday. I'm your host of Self Love Sundays, Tarnisha Mosas. I am your vision strategist coach who comes every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And last week we talked about what it feels like to walk in purpose without applause, to show up boldly and still be misunderstood, to be seen but not truly supported. And if I'm being real, I live that. But today we take that conversation just a little bit deeper because even when you're obedient, and again, my theme, and I talked about this last week was relentless obedient action. So I'm always obedient, even when you feel like you're doing everything right. You can still feel like you've been overlooked. You've been praying, you've been showing up, you've been holding on, you've been showing out in even certain spaces, and yet feel no breakthrough. You can start to wonder, did I miss God? Did I mess it up? Is this not for me? But I want to give you a shift that's going to set you free today. And the shift is you're not buried, you've been planted. And what a message on this Resurrection Sunday, that you are not buried, you've just been planted. And just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's not happening. You've mistaken being hidden for being held back. But the truth is, you're being protected. And I know that you hear this sometimes and you don't believe it, but I promise you, it's the truth. God does his best work in the soil where the roots grow deep and strong. And so let me ask you something. And I really want you to write these questions down because this is a mindset and a belief. Okay. I want you to write these questions down and answer. If you need to pause the video, do so. But what do you believe about your gift when nobody's clapping? When you show up and you do the thing, but no one is clapping for you. You may be a coach, you may be doing events and no one's showing up. You may be doing YouTube videos, no one's watching. What do you believe about your gift though when nobody's clapping? What do you believe about your timing when it feels like you're being overlooked? What do you believe about being visible when you're not yet validated? So I want you to really ask yourself those questions because do you secretly believe your gift only matters if it's being praised? You have to get truthful with yourself about that today. Do you think you're late because the spotlight hasn't found you yet? Because with persistence and consistency and growth, things change. But do you think you're late because the spotlight hasn't found you yet? Do you question your worth when your work isn't being seen or you perceive that it's not being seen? Because I know for me, a lot of times there are people on social media that they may never comment, but I know that they watch and they see the videos. But my worth cannot be tied up into that because then I will never feel worthy. So, do you question your worth when your work isn't being seen? Is the question. If those beliefs live underground with you, they'll sabotage you when it's finally your time to rise. And you don't believe it, but it's the truth. It's the same thing I was talking to my community about today when we were talking about money. I'm sorry, not today. We were talking on Friday. We were about money and talking about if I gave you $1 million today, but you still have a mindset and a belief of lack in that, you don't deserve it, and even if you go get some investments, you're going to spend it all, it's going to be gone, and then you're going to be dipping into your investments because it's the same thing you do now. Every time you give yourself a little bit of a savings, because of your mindset and your mentality, you have to keep dipping in it. And so we have to shift things down because, again, if those beliefs live underground with you, they're going to sabotage you when it's time to rise, because the seed doesn't scream. It grows quietly, intentionally. And you're growing even when nobody sees it. But you got to start to believe that. You know, we love Resurrection Sunday, but nobody talks about the death that came first. Before there was glory, there was grief. Nobody wants to talk about the death first, right? But before there was glory, there was grief. Before there was rise, there was a release. What are you still clinging to that God has already closed the door on? You keep walking back into the door. I was talking to a client, and she was really angry, pissed off about the fact that she went back to a job because it was familiar, because she knew that the pay was consistent, but she's miserable. God had already closed that door and had moved you on. But the thing is, you don't believe that if it's not hustle, if it's not grind, if you're not feeling all sorts of angry, it doesn't work. But when God gives you peace and He gives you stillness, and yet the things are still flowing to you, the money may not flow as much in the beginning, but then it starts to come as you keep releasing and you keep trusting, you keep having faith. But what happens is you quit before that happens, and you go back to the thing that God has already removed you from. And so I want to challenge you with love today. Okay? What patterns are you protecting out of fear and not purpose? Today, if you haven't noticed, today is a day of questions, because I believe that questions are the answer. That's exactly why I created this deck. It's called Find Your Way. It's questions are the answers journal deck card, because you pull a card and journal on it every single day, because of the fact it's the questions that are going to get you to dig deep, as long as you don't do surface with them. So I need you to answer these questions. What patterns are you protecting out of fear and not out of purpose? What habits are you entertaining out of familiarity, not alignment? How often are we in the same place with the same people, entertaining, people pleasing, gossiping, not because you want to gossip, because you feel convicted on the inside, because you know it's not right, but you're doing it to go along, to get along? What version of you are keeping alive? What versions of you are you keeping alive because you're scared of who you're becoming? That's a good question. What versions are you keeping alive because you are afraid of who you're becoming? Let me tell you something. I had to answer that question. And there were versions of me dealing with, I got to be this angry person or have this shield because people are not going to walk all over me. Meanwhile, no one can manipulate me without me giving them permission to do so. And I don't have to be a person that goes off and yells and screams and wring my neck around and curse people out. I don't have to do that. But I was holding on to it, thinking, but the powerful woman that I was becoming, she doesn't have to do anything. Her presence dictates, don't play with me. But I was scared of that. I thought it had to be loud because I grew up with everything being loud. I didn't realize in the still quietness, the joy and the peace and the self-control and the forbidden, that everything changes and it's okay. And that's a beautiful state to be in. Some of you are grieving things that you were never supposed to survive, that were never supposed to survive your next season. It's time to let it go. They're not supposed to go with you into this next season. You're not supposed to go back to it. Stop doubling back and going to play. If it was miserable for you, why would you go back to that? Knowing that misery is still waiting there. But you know why? Because that's your comfort zone. We don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. It's easier to stay in the familiar than to have faith and belief in the unseen. But isn't that what Christians are supposed to do? Isn't that what we're called to? Question. Stop resurrecting what was only meant to reveal. Some of those things and what that means is some of the things that happen in your life, some of those people, some of those places were only brought so it can reveal and uncover things that you were still thinking and believing and doubting about yourself. It was a way to to open up the layers of things. It was only meant to reveal what you still get to heal. That's it. It was never a place for you to sit and stay. It was never a relationship for you to get into. It was only supposed to uncover some things, but you took it for more. Everything and everyone can't go with you. I know you keep hearing it. And I know you say, people keep saying that. Well, what are you going to do about it? Some things were only meant to break you open, not build you up. I had to learn that when it came to relationships. It was like, oh, this guy was brought in because, listen, I knew I needed to be closer to God and I wasn't doing it. And again, you don't have to learn that way. I want to be clear. You don't. And for some of us, it is what it is. For some of us, it's just that still quietness. We're not going to do it. So sometimes we have to usher in things and usher in people and usher in environments that's going to be like, oh, wait a minute. So instead of getting frustrated and angry, be like, oh, this is an opportunity. That means something's about to change in my life. I'm about to go to the next level of this thing. That's why I'm angry. That's why I'm upset, because something is about to change. Now I know what I want and I know what I don't want. How about that? But let me talk to the visionary in you for a minute, because sometimes you don't need another affirmation. You need understanding. Why? I'm a vision strategist coach. I get it. Before, I just want you to know, before any vision grows up, it has to grow down. Before any vision grows up, it has to go down. Deep in roots, deep in identity, deep in belief. It has to grow deep roots. So that's why it seems dark. That's why you feel alone. The deeper the calling, the longer the hidden season. We hate to hear it, but the truth is the truth. I look at some of the most successful people when they got it in their later 40s and 50s, how different it looks than some of the people that got it early. Not to say that some of the people got it early in life anything was wrong with their life. It's not that. But the deeper the calling, the longer the hidden season. Because what's coming out, what's coming out of you is heavy, honey. And God will not let you build on shallow ground. I need you to hear that. And I'm looking directly in the camera and I'm talking directly to you. God will not allow you to build on shallow ground. That's why it seems dark and it seems like nobody's coming and it seems like, everything is not working out. God, where are you? He's in the ground with you, growing these roots deep so that you don't live for the applause, so that the same people that think that they built you up, they can never break you down. You're in your root season. And that's the most sacred space you'll ever grow in. Don't rush to bloom when your roots still need watering. I need you to hear that from me. Don't rush to bloom when your roots still need watering. And I know that you think that you have it and you got it and it's time and you're over it. So ask God to give you a little glimpse. Don't you quit. Don't you quit, because your roots are just being watered. And don't chase the platform if your private world isn't aligned. I'm gonna tell you right now, because I'm this new world that we live in. You want to go out here, you want to be this leader, you want to show up, and you talking about this and you doing that, and you're saying this, but you don't really live it. People will pull every part of your life, your personal life out, throw it on the red carpet, and if your roots, or if you're not deeply rooted and don't understand that they can't make or break you and that God did, you will fold. You will fold. So let me bring this all the way home. This isn't just Resurrection Sunday. This is the moment where you stop surviving and, and you start becoming. Who are you becoming in this season? You are not the same. If you're watching these videos, I know you're not. But this survival mode, going back to things that don't serve you, being in places that don't align with you, doing things, saying things that are not in alignment with who you said you were becoming, that all gets to go today. Because you're not just rising, you're different. You're rising different. I need you to understand that you are different. That's why you're not just rising, you are rising different. That's why it doesn't feel good anymore. That's why drinking like that doesn't feel anymore. That's why smoking like that doesn't feel good anymore. That's why sexing the way doesn't feel good anymore. That's why watching porn doesn't feel good anymore. That's why doing all these things, to get attention doesn't feel good anymore. Old things have passed away. You're being transformed by the renewance of your mind and the things that don't serve you. I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about the things that don't serve you. I'm not here to talk about that. We all sin every day, all day, twice on Sunday. People will lie to you. I will never. And we get to work through that. And you're walking out a grave of self-doubt, overthinking, comparison, and performance. You don't got to do that. You don't have to do that. And if you feel those things, that's why you have to understand why you're being deeply rooted. If you're still self-doubting and overthinking and comparing yourself and performing for God and everybody else, allow yourself a little bit more time. And when people see you next, oh my God, they won't even recognize you. If you just allow yourself this time, because you are not who you were when you went underground. You are not who you were when they hurt you years ago. You are not who you were when you were drinking and drugging and sexing and doing all those things. You are not who you were when you were consistently watching pornography and being led by the flesh. You are not that anymore. People are not going to recognize you. And that's a great thing. Some of them don't. Some of them knew your greatness all the time and was trying to hold you back. But nobody can hold you back, my dear. Nobody. When God says it's time, He will take that very thing that you've been working on for 30 years and relinquish it to you in a day. You got to believe that. You got to believe that. You haven't been buried. You're being built. And what God grew in the dark, woo, is about to speak it louder than any spotlight. Do you know there's no spotlight that people can give you that when God says go and grow and He helps and you start to shine, there's no spotlight big enough. There's no spotlight big enough. I need you to believe that today, okay? And so if this message met the version of you that's been quietly doing the work, growing without applause, holding on without clarity, feeling the fear and doing it anyway, always being in obedient action, this is your moment. This is your moment to know you are being built for something greater than you could ever even imagine. Just allow the watering season to continue. And if this video served you today, please like it and share it with one person who you know who may have been questioning as well, in their season as well, been questioning their purpose and questioning, where's the applause and where's this at and where is that at. Please share this video with them. Comment below. Let me know what is something that has transformed for you as a result of listening to this today. I would love to hear from you, and I do interact, right? Because listen, this isn't just a message. I really believe this is a movement for those who are designed to rise, and it's only the beginning. You are designed to win, and you will win when you decide to partner with your co-creator. Okay. I just want to thank you today, and I hope that you feel empowered. I hope you feel liberated. I hope that you feel free, and I hope that it is enough to help you to continue to keep going and believing in this season. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Resurrection Sunday, and I will see you next week. Bye now.